Morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the last topic, that is the application layer and the concepts of application layer in unit number 6. The topics we are going to be discussed in application layer is DNS, domain name system, electronic mail, that is email. Okay, only these two topics we are going to be discussed. Okay. First, see, coming to the application layer, see the above layer, that is physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer. After that, we are having in OSI, we are having session layer and presentation layer. In TCP/IP reference model, we are having application layer, and this application layer will perform the activities of presentation and session layers as well. Here, the application layer uses the transport services to build the distributed applications. Why? Because it uses the transport services, nothing but the transport layer is providing services to application layer. Why? Because the below layer is transport layer. As I said, every below layer will provide services to its above layer. Likewise, the transport layer will provide some transport services to build the distributed applications. First topic is domain name system. Here, the DNS means domain name system. This domain name system, DNS, resolves high-level human-readable names for computers to low-level IP addresses. Let's take an example. To reach any server, we are giving the name of the address, name of the server. That means to reach the Gmail server, we will give the name www.gmail.com. Here, the DNS converts that name, that readable name, to IP address. Okay, it will the name map to IP address. This IP address mapped to server. Okay, this is the responsibility of DNS. In simple form, human readable names for computers to low-level IP addresses. This is the responsibility of DNS. In this DNS, first topic is DNS namespace, domain resource records, and name servers. First, why we need DNS? Here, to remember the names is easy. To remember the IP address is somewhat difficult. Why? Because if a server is changed to everyone, we need to notify the new IP address. If the server is changed, we need to know we need to remember, or we need to notify the new IP address. Here, originally one file with the names and IP addresses become too large. Okay. Here, the host name conflicts began to occur. For this reason, the DNS has been developed to solve all these problems. Okay, the DNS is a hierarchical domain based on naming scheme and database system for implementing it. DNS is a hierarchical domain based naming scheme and a database system for implementing it. It used primarily for mapping the host names to IP address. Simply, students, you can remember the DNS is used primarily for mapping the names to IP address. Why? Because IP address is low level. Okay, only it can reach the server. Next, how DNS works. To map a name to IP address. How this process will be done to map a name to an IP address. See here, the application program calls a library procedure. This is very, very important one. The application program calls a library procedure called a resolver. For example, get host name, passing it to the name as parameter, Now, the resolver sends a query with the name to a local DNS server, which looks up the name and returns the IP address. Okay. See this is very important point. the resolver sends a query with the name to a local DNS server, which looks up in the server, server for the name and returns the IP address. Here, the query and response are sent as UDP packets. Once it has the IP address, the host can now establish a TCP connection or send UDP packets. Okay, once it has the IP address, it will establish a TCP connection or send UDP packets. Coming to the first one, previous two slides are what is DNS and how DNS works. Now, this is the first part of the DNS, that is DNS namespace. We are having three parts, DNS namespace, DNS resource records, DNS name servers. The first one is DNS namespace. Here, the corporation ICANN, that is Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. It was established here. This is the responsibility for assigning the names to the websites, whatever it may be. It was established in 98. The internet has been divided into 250 top level domains. Okay, I will show you in the next slide about the domains. .com, .edu, .gov, these are all called domains. Internet is divided into 250 top level domains, each partitioned into again subdomains. Okay, the top level domains are generic domains. The top level domains are generic domains, originally from 1980s as well as newer additions. Are countries. Those are top level domains are categorized into two levels. One is generic, the second one is countries. Generic is for normal purposes and countries is one entry per one country. The original 1985 domains were like .com, .com, .edu, .gov, .int, .mil, etc. The top level domains can run by registrars appointed by ICANN. Okay, these domains, who will give these permissions to run these domains? The ICANN, that is Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. Here, if new domains has been added, but often some disagreements. Okay, the disagreements will be like if it is an unauthorized one. Okay, those domains are not accepted. Okay, here the domains names are not case sensitive. We can give capital as well as small letters also. Here the last point is registering a new domain which the intent to sell it is called as cyber squatting. Here, first initially we register a domain. The domain will be sold to another person, another organization. This process is called as cyber squatting. Okay. See, this is the DNS namespace hierarchical form. See, the DNS namespace is hierarchical from root to down. Root to down. Different parts delegated to different organizations. I told you here two main domains, that is generic domain and countries domain. Okay, see here in the generic we are having .com, .aero, .edu, .gov. These are the top level domains. These are called as top level domains. And the top level domains is nearly like 250 domains, and again these domains are further divided into subdomains. See here we are having .com, that is for commercial purpose, .edu for educational institutions, .gov for government organizations, .org for organizations, .net for net providers, and .au. Okay, .jp for Japan, .uk for UK, .us for US, like that. Okay, one NDC, these are one entry for one country. Okay, this is Netherlands. Okay, these are generic names for countries. See, this is the generic top level domain names controlled by ICANN. Who appoints registrars to run them? See here, I told you .com is for commercial purpose, .edu for educational institutions, .gov for government, .int for international organizations, MIL for military, .net for network providers. Just you can for your just you can remember these. Next, second one, first one completed. DNS namespace was completed. DNS namespace was completed. Second one is domain resource records. Here, the domains have set of resource record associated with them. Okay, a resource record is having 5 tuples. First tuple is domain name. Second one is time to live. Third one is class. Fourth one is type, and fifth one is value. Here, we know the domain name. The second one is time to live. Time to live is called as TTL. It is a number, indicates that how long it is a stable record. Next one is class. Here, see my mouse. This is time to live and this is a class. This class is for internet information. Okay, next type. This type is the type of what kind of that record. Okay, value, last one. Value is a number. Okay, that is a domain name or a string. Value may be a number, a domain name, or a string value. Okay, this is the domain resource records. The key resource record in the namespace. The key resource records in the namespace are IP addresses and name servers, but there are no others. See, this is the type of resource record and the meaning of that record and a value. Here, SOA means, this is the resource record. SOA means start of authority. SOA means start of authority. Parameters for this zone, meaning is value. A means IPv4 address of a host. 4 A's, A. IPv6 address of a host. MX, mail exchange. NS, name servers. CNAME, canonical name. Pointer. Send policy framework, SPF. SRV, service. TXT, text. These are the name of the resource record. Name of the resource record. As I told you, you need to remember all these names in the table. Here, a resource record, this is commonly referred as, it is the unit information entry in the DNS zone. This resource record are the basic building blocks of the host name and the IP information, and these are used to resolve all DNS queries. These are used for all DNS queries. This is the, about the domain resource records. See, this is the portion of possible DNS database. This DNS database is contained. This is not required for you. Just you can for your understanding. Okay. The third one is name servers. Last one in DNS is name servers. Here the name server translates. The responsibility of name server is translate the domain names into IP address. Translate the domain names into IP address. Let's take an example. We have given a name that will be converted to IP address. Here, this makes it possible for a user to access the website by typing the domain name instead of website's actual IP address. We are not typing any IP address of the website that we are going to be visited. Just what we are we are doing, just simply in the address bar www.someabc.com, that converts this name server, will translate the domain name into the IP address. Okay, then uh, instead of domain name, instead of that IP address, we are giving the domain name. They allow websites to use the domain names instead of IP address. This name server will allow the websites to use of domain names instead of IP address. As I told in the first slide, it is very tough fast to remember the IP addresses. Why? Because the server changes, the IP address changes. So to remember all these IP address is very difficult task for the users. So instead of that, they are using name servers. These name servers will contain the data for portions of the namespace is called zones. Okay, these are circled. See here, we are having the same diagram. This is one zone. Okay, this is one zone. Okay, the name server contains the data for portions of the namespace called zones, which are circled in the diagram. This diagram we have seen in the previous one. This is two domains, generic and countries. In this, we are having top level domains, and these are the subdomains. In the subdomains, we are having Cisco and ENG. In the .com, we are having Cisco and ENG. These two are the subdomains belonging to .com domain, and these are circled, and this is circled. This is one zone. Okay, all the circled parts. See, this is these three subdomains are one zone. Okay, what is the advantage of zone? The name server will contain the data for portions of the namespace. That is called the zone. Coming to the name servers, as I told you, finding the IP address for the given host name is called resolution. Okay, finding the IP address for the given host name is called as resolution, and it is done with the DNS protocol. Okay, that is, you can note this point, students. Finding the IP address for a given host name is called resolution, and it is done with the DNS protocol. Okay. See, the resolution will be like, the computer requests the local name server to resolve. First, the computer requests the local name server to resolve. The local name server asks the root name of the server. The root returns the name server for a lower zone and continue down zones until the name server can answer. This is how the resolution process will be. Next, DNS protocol. Here, the DNS runs on UDP port number 53. Retransmit the last messages. The DNS protocol retransmit the last messages in the transmission, and caches name server answers for better performance. Why? Because it caches some name server answers. Okay, because every time there is a resolution process will be done. Okay, so DNS protocol caches the name servers for a better performance. Here, the name server process, the example of a computer looking up the IP for a name. See, looking up by IP for a domain name. The first one, the originator is here. It sends a query to the local server. I told you, the local server. Okay, the local server will send a request, forward request to the root name server, and the root name server will reply with the domain name called edu. Okay, this is one type. Okay, now this local server will send a query to this type. Previously, it sent a query to the root name server. The root name server will reply, this is a education name server. Now it will send a query to education name server, and it will give a reply washington.edu, and again it will send a query to Washington server. Okay, it sends a particular server and it will give the information about cs.washington.edu and it will give a server. I will show you this diagram explanation. See, in the previous slide, this is what? See, this is the education domain name. It will give the Washington and it is having two departments. Only the zone belongs to CS and robot. See, this is not comes into the part. Only Washington, CS and robot. Okay, the same here. First EDU, education name server, education root name server. Next EDU name server and UW name server. It will give the washington.edu and again it sends a server and finally it gives the robot.cs.washington.edu. This is the UWCS name server. Okay. This is the example of a computer looking for the IP for a name. Just here I have taken the one root name server that replies the education name server and again the education name server replies the UW name server and the UW name server will reply the UWCS information to the local server and finally the answer will be forwarded to robot.cs.washington.edu. See, robot.cs.washington.edu. Let's check with the previous example. Robot.cs.washington.edu. Okay, remember we came from edu to Washington, Washington to CS, CS to robot. Now the zone will be like robot.cs.washington.edu. Okay. This is the process of a computer looking up the IP for a name. Okay, this is about DNS. Now our last topic is electronic mail, that is email. All we know about the electronic mail. And in the electronic mail, the concepts we are going to be discussed is the architecture and services of email. In the email, the components are the user agent, the message formats of email, the message transfer process, and the final delivery. This is the last topic of this unit. Let's move the email. Okay, the architecture of email system consisting of two kinds of subsystem. The one subsystem is user agent, which allow. Okay, the architecture of email system consisting of two kinds of subsystems. The first subsystem is user agent. The second subsystem is message transfer agent. The user agent which allow people to read and send email, and the message transfer agent which moves the message from source to destination. The name itself saying that message transfer is nothing but moving the message from source to destination. The user agent will read and send the email. Now coming to the user agent or email readers. User agents or email readers are the programs such as a Google Gmail, Microsoft Outlook, and Apple Mail that attempts the commands for composing, receiving, editing, and replying to message. Okay, once let's take our Gmail example. When we open our Gmail account, it is showing an inbox, different types of folders. Let's take inbox containing several messages, and we are using the compose to send a message and receive. We can receive the message, and for the received message, the below we are having one field that is reply to all. All these are the responsibility of user agents. Next, message transfer agent is the second subsystem of email. These are usually system processes which run in the background. We cannot view the process of message transfer agent. It runs in the background on mail servers. it uses a protocol called SMTP. A simple mail transfer protocol is used. This protocol is used to transfer the messages. Here, the user agent activities is in the foreground. We can see those things. In the background, message transfer agents will run in the background of the mail servers, and they will use the SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol, to transfer the messages. Let's see the architecture and services of the email system. See here, the sender or user agent. This is the mail submission. Okay, for a submitted mail, who will transfer the mail? The message transfer agents transfer the mail. Who transfers the message? Who needs to transfer the message? We need a protocol. See, this is a mail submission. Now, after mail submission, message transfer agent is responsible for transferring the message from source to destination, and this uses a protocol SMTP. By using this SMTP, message transfer will be done once the message transfer agent here. Okay, the message transfer agent uses the mails and sends the mail to receiver's mailbox. The receiver's mailbox. This is the receiver agent. Okay, this is the receiver mailbox. Okay, this is the architecture of mail system. Here, simply remember three things: sender user agent, receiver user agent. An email must be transferred from sender user agent to receiver user agent. First, the first person is message transfer agent. This message transfer agent responsibility is transferring the email from source to destination. For that purpose, we need a protocol that is called as an SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol. This will transfer the message to the message transfer agent, to the receiver. So this is the inbox of, this is the inbox, receiver mail inbox. Okay, it will transfer the final delivery. Okay, these are the some architectures and services of an email. Let us take, in previously we are having a paper mail. Paper mail means letter, like letter. In the letter header we are writing the address. Okay, after that we are writing the subject and body of the letter. Okay, this is the email. In the email we are giving, this is the envelope, right? The first part is the envelope. The second part is, in the second part, it is the completely header and body includes in one part. Header and body in paper mail is one part. Coming to the email, the message is consisting of header and body. This is the envelope which we are giving. Envelope is containing the name, whom we are writing, the address, okay, and the zip code. The priority is urgent. The encryption is none. From whom it was sending, from address. Okay, this is the envelope. This is the header containing from address, from where it was sending, and this is the body of the letter. Okay, these two are the paper email and electronic mail. These two. Here in the paper email, the body and header will be the one. In the electronic email, the header and body will be the two different parts. See, the user agent. Okay, here the user agent message folders, like we are having mail folders like all mail, inbox, networks, travel, junk email, trash, etc. Okay, here the user agent provide us to search the mailbox. Okay, this is our email system. Like, first, from whom we are getting the emails. Let us see. Take an example of our Gmail. When we open our Gmail account, it shows us from whom we are received the messages, the subject of the message, the received date and time. Okay, and if we open the message, if we open the one message summary, it will be like this. It will appear. Suppose we click on one email, it will be appeared like this. It will be appeared like this. See, hope you know about these. The message formats. Here, the message format, suppose whenever we try to compose an email, the header fields related to message transport, the headers are readable ASCII text. Those are, if the header is containing to, where what we are giving here, to whom we are sending the message, we will give the email addresses. Then what is the CC? CC is nothing but it is a carbon copy. CC is nothing but it is a carbon copy. Carbon copy means, let us take an example. Suppose I am transferring an email to you, students. That information needs to known to principal sir. Then I will keep principal sir in CC. So that means a carbon copy is sent to sir also. Okay. Next, BCC. BCC stands for blind carbon copy. BCC stands for blind carbon copy. Suppose whenever you get an email, in it is showing that unclosed recipients. It is showing that unclosed recipient. That means blind carbon copy. Suppose I sent an email to all 120 students of the class, but even though some other classes also, just you don't know for whom, you know the only the information from where I get the email, but you don't know the information for what other people star sent the message. You don't know that information because it is blind carbon copy. You don't know the information. Okay, just you simply it is showing that the unclosed recipients from you know from whom we are created the message, the person or people who created the message. Next, sender. Okay, email address of the actual sender. Receive, the line added by the each transfer agent along the route. Return path. Return path means after we open the mail, it is under the mail, it is showing that forward and reply to all. That is called as a return path. Okay, these are the different types of message formats. You simply remember, to is the only to whom we are sending the message. It is one address or many addresses. CC is a carbon copy. It is one or many. The name the address which kept in the CC will knows the information to whom we are sending the data. And BCC is a blind carbon copy. The recipient don't know uh, for whom it a mail was sending. That the receiver don't know the information. Okay. These are the different types of message formats, and the other header fields useful for user agents is the date and time of the message was sent. Okay, reply to, I told you. Okay, the email address to which the reply should be sent. Okay, after opening the email, the under an email or top of the email, it is showing that reply. Okay, we click on the reply, our replies will be sent. Message ID. The email message ID is having a unique number for referencing this message. In reply to is a message ID of the message to which this is a reply. References. References are other relevant mail IDs. Keywords. These are the user chosen keywords. Subject. Subject in the email is the summary of the message for one line display. Okay. These are the another message formats. This is another topic in message formats continuation. That is header and respective meaning. These are the MIME. MIME means multi-purpose internet mail extension. MIME is called as multi-purpose internet mail extension. These header fields used to describe what content in the body of the message. What content in the body of the message. First see the header, MIME version. it identifies the MIME version. And content description, a human readable string telling what is the message, what is in the message. Content ID, that is the unique identifier. Content transfer encoding. Encoding is nothing but it was wrapped. Okay, the body was wrapped is nothing but it was encoded. The content type. Okay, this is the type of the format of the content. Okay, these are the MIME extensions. These are called for MIME extensions. And this is the common MIME content types and subtypes. We know all these. Text. The type is text. The example subtypes are it is a plain text or HTML, XML, and CSS. Okay, these are the text in various formats. Image. For image, we are having GIF, JPEG, TIFF. These are for pictures. Audio, basic audio, MPEG and MP4, MP3, etc. These are used for sounds. Video, MPEG, MP4, QuickTime. These are used for movies or video files. Next, VRML. This VRML is used for 3D models. Next, application. For the application, it is ObjectStream, PDF, zip files, JavaScript. This is the data produced by the applications. Next, message. The message will be like HTTP, RFC. This is the encapsulated message. Last one is multi-part. That means a message is containing different informations. The combination of multiple types, that is mixed, alternative, parallel, and digest. This is the combination of multiple types. Okay. See, this is a putting it all together, a multi-part message containing HTML and audio alternatives. This is the one part, HTML part. Another part is the audio part. This particular part is the HTML part. This is the audio part. Okay. This is the one email format which is containing two parts, that is multi-part message containing the text information or HTML information along with the audio information. Next one, message transfer. Here the message are transferred with the protocol SMTP, that is simple mail transfer protocol. Here these are readable text commands. The submission of user agent to MTA on port number 587. MTA means message transfer agent. One MTA to next MTA on port 25. The other protocols which we are used for final delivery, that is POP3 and IMAP. These are the different points of message transfer. First one is readable context command, text commands. Submission of user agent to MTA on the port number 587. I will show you. This is sending a message from Alice to Bob. The SMTP commands are like in the pink. The SMTP commands are in the pink. These are the commands. Hello, the abcd.com. This is a protocol, and this is a protocol which sends the messages. Just this is not required for you, and just you can write this particular point. One second. Yes. Here. Okay, we are using some common SMTP extensions. Those are SMTP extensions are AUTH. The keyword is that is for client authentication. The binary MIME, which is the server accepts the binary messages. Chunking, it is a server accepts the large number of chunks, messages in chunks. Size, check the message size before typing to send. Star TTLs, that is switch to secure transport, that is TLS. TLS means transport layer service. Next, UTF-8 SMTP, that is internationalized addresses. And the last topic is final delivery. Here, for the final delivery, the user agent uses a protocol like IMAP. Okay, and it is having the commands to manipulate here the user agent uses the protocol like IMAP for final delivery. The IMAP is nothing but Internet Message Access Protocol. Internet Message Access Protocol. Okay. Here, this IMAP means that all of our email is saved on your Internet Service Provider server. Okay. IMAP. IMAP means that all of our email is saved on your Internet Service Provider server. If you are using IMAP, you can run an email program at home and an email program at work, and both programs will access the same setup of messages and folders. Okay. Alternatively, a web interface might be used for this final delivery. These are the different commands in the final delivery and the description of the commands. And just you can write any 4 or 5 in the exam. But just you can take any 5 or 4 or 5. No need to remember all these things. Okay. Coming to the final delivery protocols, we are using 3 protocols for final delivery. One is SMTP. Sorry, SMTP is not used for final delivery. For final delivery, we are using IMAP and POP3. SMTP is not used for final delivery. It takes message and contents to a remote server to transfer a message. It is a just push-based protocol where the user agent may not be connected to the internet when the SMTP attempts to deliver the final message. Let's see the final delivery protocol, that is IMAP, Internet Message Access Protocol, which is used for final delivery. The IMAP server listens the port number 143 and is an improvement over old other protocols. Next, POP3. POP3 means Post Office Protocol. POP3 means Post Office Protocol version. POP means Post Office Protocol version 3. Okay, this is the less secure one, and the next one is webmail. The interface for sending and receiving the email. The webmail is an interface for sending and receiving the email. The webmails, we are having so many webmails: Yahoo, Gmail, and Hotmail. These are the web emails. Okay. Okay, this is all about the email. See, you need to remember this diagram. Just this diagram. In this diagram, it is showing the architecture and services of an email. Okay. In this unit, in the second part of the unit number 6, so far we have discussed what is DNS, and DNS is having 3 parts. That is, we have discussed about what is DNS and what is DNS namespace and what is domain resource records and name servers. This is about DNS. In the email, second part is email. In the email, we have discussed what is an architecture and services of email, what is the responsibility of user agent, and what are the different message formats, and how the message transfer will be done, and what is the final delivery. In the tables you have seen in the screens, you no need to remember all these things in the table. Okay, these tables you need to remember. and what some other tables which is having more information. These tables, you won't remember all these things, just you can write 2 or 3. Okay. Students, our syllabus is completed. From Monday's class, we are going to start our revision with unit number 6 with the discussion of final papers. If any, all students must attend to the class. Why? Because we are going to discuss the topics with respect to the examination point of view. So far, I have as of now, our syllabus is completed. From Monday, we are going to discuss about the revision classes.